Welcome to Dishin It Up. My name is Chef Manny, and today we'll be preparing pan-fried hog snapper with roasted pumpkin risotto, and we're going to be serving that with a lot of nice fresh artisan vegetables. All right, so let's cook. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to work on our vegetables, because once you do all the chopping and get them out of the way, then you're going to be smooth sailing. So the first we're going to do is work on our onions, because this is going to be very important. So the first technique for peeling the onions is you want to use a little paring knife and just score the onions like that, all right? And then peel off any excess peeling, all right? So you're going to get that off. All right, so now we're going to chop our onions. So when you chop an onion, you really need a sharp knife, because most of the times persons don't like to chop onions because they feel like it's going to permeate and cause them to cry. All right, so but once you have a sharp knife, you'll be able to slice the onions and you'll be just as good. All right, so just make small lines on the onions like that. You're just going to score through the onions like so, and then go ahead and just chop them up nice and fine. So these onions I'm chopping will be for the risotto. So like I said, we want to get the vegetables out of the way. Sometimes with a meal like this, you always want to know what are the first things you're going to be preparing. So you try to do all your trimming of your fish, anything poultry that you have to break down. Those are the first things you want to do. Then we're going to go ahead and get the leeks. Just nice and cut through those leeks, nice and fine. These are going to add flavor. Leeks is a part of the onion family, so these have flavors similar to onions, but they're going to give the dish a really nice, rich flavor. All right, so we got our leeks. All right, so we got celery, leeks, and onions. In culinary, this is what we call a white mirepoix. So this is going to be used to flavor the fish and give it that rich, healthy, rich flavor. All right, so I'm going to put that away. All right, so once you already cut up your onions, you're going to just put that away in a bowl. So like I said, this is going to be for my my fish sauce. We're going to use the bones, and we're going to make a nice rich fish stock so that it'll become accompanied the sauce really good. First thing we're going to do, we're going to make a nice cut right above the top fin, and you're just going to keep the knife nice and tight to the bone. Nice and tight to the bone. Cut along this fin. All right, we're almost there. And nice and tight against the bone, we're just gonna roll it over. One clean cut. Start again from the top of the fin, work your knife straight down. Keep it really nice and tight. Keep it nice and tight, nice and tight. Like I say, now the bones, we're gonna use the bones to make the fish sauce, all right? So let me just get my fish stock on. So in culinary, fish stock is something that we use to flavor the food. Instead of using water, we want to start with a foundation that's already filled with flavor, and what we want to do is just use that to really make any kind of sauce that you want to make for your dish. So because we're serving fish, we need a nice fish sauce. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get the bones. We're going to wash those off. We're going to wash off our bones. Wash them off like that. Make sure we get rid of any blood or anything like that, because that's going to discolor the stock. So you're going to move that out. All right, so just wash them off. Our fillet. All right, so we're looking good. You're just going to move that. So with the fish stock, we're just going to place our fish in the pot. We're going to add the vegetables that I cut up, and like I said, in culinary, this is called a mirepoix. A mirepoix is a mixture of 50% onions with 25% celery and 25% leeks. So these are gonna just go right over my fish like that. Right? So I'm just gonna go on the stove. But if you look right here, this is one that I prepare in advance. Right? And this has all the flavors that you will want. This has the leeks, the onions, the celery, and I also flavor it with garlic. So this is ready to go. All right. And the reason for washing the fish in cold water is you want to be able to, like I said, remove any veins that are in the fish. And this is going to actually give your stock a really nice clear consistency. So that's really important. Also too, from a safety standpoint, you want to make sure the fish is always at the right temperature and you're not going to make anyone sick. So keeping everything on ice is very, very important. We're just going to go ahead and add a little bit of white wine. Just a little bit of white wine. Wine has acidic, and when you're making any kind of sauce, you really need that acidic for the balance. So that's very, very important. So we got our white wine going. Of course, we need just a little sprig of parsley to put in there. If you get a fish stock on, we're gonna go ahead and add some liquid. We just want enough liquid just to cover the bones. And like I said, this is gonna be the fish stock for our pan roasted snapper. So we're just gonna cover the bones with this liquid, and we're gonna allow it to simmer for 30 minutes. Once it's simmered, we're gonna strain, and then we're gonna go ahead and remove it. All right, so let's do some seasoning. All right, we got some goat pepper. We got some nice sea salt. And we also get some fresh lemon. I like to season snapper by using just a little bit of olive oil. This is very important so that the seasoning can adhere to the fish. Just a little bit. All right, so put a little bit of olive oil on it. All right, good, put that back. All right, so then we're gonna go ahead with our goat pepper. Just gonna give it a little chop. We don't want it too spicy. You always want to cook in moderation. So anytime you're working with pepper and salt, you know, make sure leave a little room in case the guests, you know, want to add a little more pepper to it. They can have that, all right? So get that goat pepper. Sometimes on island, we just take a little bit of salt, mix with the goat pepper like that, and we can use a knife and just marry those two together. So we can have one basic seasoning. All right, so make a really nice paste out of that goat pepper, all right? But like I said, we don't want it too spicy, all right? So let me add a little more salt. Also, what you'll need when you season the fish, sometimes some chefs like to put lemon juice, but the zest is where it has all the flavor and all the really, really nice lemon flavor. So what you want to do is just use your zester and make sure you get some nice lemon zest on that snapper. Now we're going to use our hands and make sure we get a good seasoning going on in those cuts that we put on the snapper. All right, very important. Like I said, we don't want too pepper, but you want to be able to taste that goat pepper with that sea salt. Make sure it's all over the fish, you know. Make sure feel for bone at the same time. So if there's any bone, you want to go ahead and take it out as well. So these we're gonna set aside, and once we already make our rice dish, then we're gonna go ahead and pan fry our fish. Because when you're really cooking fish, you always want it to be prepared at the last minute, because you want that nice crisp skin to really not to get soft and soggy. So you don't want to fry it in advance. You want to be able to cook it at the last minute. And when you cook it, you want to take it from the pot onto the plate and then serve the guests, all right? When we come back, we're gonna prepare this nice fish with our risotto and our olive tapenade and our fresh roasted vegetables. We'll be right back.
We've heard you. We know you're tired of the reruns. We're coming back, bigger and better, on The Legal Brief. I'm your host, Ramona Farquharson. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. During our first session, we did a roasted hog snapper, and now we're going to go into our risotto. So first, what we'll need, we need some onions. We don't get a pan hot. We're going to start our risotto with the olive oil. We're going to add just a little bit of onions. risotto is a dish from Italy, and normally they use what they call a borio rice. So sometimes a person will go to the food store and they'll ask for risotto, but the rice type is called a borio. All right, so that's very, very important. So when you're looking for to cook risotto, you have to ask the supermarket for you want a borio rice. So that's the name of the rice. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna caramelize some onions really, really nice. This step is very, very important in cooking risotto. You want to be able to roast those rice grains in that hot pan and develop a really rich, nutty flavor so that when you go ahead and add the liquid, the rice don't become too soft, all right? So you want to be able to cook the rice or roast the rice properly, all right? So we're just going to go ahead and continue to stir. Just a little bit more oil in there, olive oil. All right, so just a little teaspoon of garlic we're gonna put. That's important. All right, so make sure my stove up nice and high. All right, good, we're looking good. So we're gonna put the rice right in the pot. So you know this is not no peas and rice because you wouldn't start peas and rice like this, all right? You wanna be able to cook at all those vegetables and then add your pigeon peas. But this rice dish, we're going to be able to start it with the onions and then the garlic, and then we add the rice and be able to coat those rice in that hot oil to really develop a rich, nutty flavor. The liquid, we're going to use chicken stock, and we're going to add that in 3 parts. All right, 3 parts. So our rice is looking good. You want the chicken stock to be hot. This is really hot. So when the liquid hit the rice, you want an automatic boil to start happening. All right. You don't want the water to be sitting in the pot and waiting to boil. All right. So we're looking good. Now we're gonna add the first step of liquid. All right, looking good. So we're gonna continue to stir. And by you continuing to stir, you're going to develop that nice creamy consistency that is synonymous with risotto, all right? Risotto should be rich and creamy. So we're going to have a really rich risotto because we're starting out with chicken stock. We sauteed the onions and the garlic. And so that is going to give us our risotto a really, really nice flavor. Continue to stir because like I say, we're developing that rich creaminess, all right? So looking good. Add one more. Add my second step. Like I said, this is not like peas and rice where you cover it and let it just simmer. You have to continue to stir. So this is something you have to make sure you have a little glass of wine while you're cooking and you're just sipping on it. So during my second step, I'm going to add my white wine. You don't want the wine to be too sweet. You really need a wine that's medium body and has a really good acidic consistency. That's important. So we're just going to continue to stir. All right. We already have our fish seasoned. The hog snap is already seasoned. We got our risotto on. The fish stock is ready for the sauce. All right. So I'll continue to multitask, and while that is cooking, I'm just going to go ahead and make the olive tapenade for the dish. So we're going to start out with some chopped tomatoes. Going to go ahead and add the olives. Going to add the green onions, some red onions. We add some green onions. All right, so we're looking good. We got our risotto on. Let me just double check this. We're looking good. This is the second stage of the rice, the liquid. And so we just want to develop a really rich, creamy consistency, all right? So while that is cooking, I'm just going to go ahead and make my olive tapenade, all right? So get some green olives. Now we're going to add some olive oil in there. Olive oil. This is gonna be the the garnish for the fish. All right, so this is gonna add a really rich Mediterranean flavor. All right, we need some fresh garlic in there. All right, so we're looking good. So we're working two things at one time. That is very important. You don't want to stand around in the kitchen ever. You always want to find something that you can do while you're working on one dish, but also working it at a good pace where things are not burning up and everything is really cooking nice and you're developing those flavors. All right, so that's what we're doing now. So just pay attention to my risotto while I want you to just focus on my olive tapenade. So we're looking good. This is going to accompany the fish as the garnish on top. So we're just going to chop some parsley for this, all right? So one more time on my risotto, we're looking good. So just going to roll up my parsley like that. Get a really, really good chop. So I'm going to put my chopped parsley in there. I didn't chop them too fine. I wanted to be rough chop, you know, so you can taste them when you're eating the dish, you know. One thing with fresh herbs, they provide fragrance to the meal. So when you're eating them, they're gonna give the meal that rich burst of flavor, all right? So anytime you're cooking, make sure you get your fresh herbs ready to go. All right, so I'm gonna put some capers in there. But before I put my capers, let me check my risotto. We're looking good. All right, so I'm gonna add my final step. Final step. All right, I'm gonna add all that liquid in there, all right? So we're looking good. Looking good. So I'm just gonna add my capers to my olive tapenade. Another way to prepare olive tapenade, you can also use sun-dried tomatoes. And you can use like a food processor, and you can put that in the food processor and really get it sort of blend like a paste. But this way I choose to cut it really nice and with really nice knife cuts so that when you're eating it you get a really burst of fresh flavor. All right, some salt, some nice fresh cracked pepper. That's important. A little more extra garlic. You need that garlic. Garlic is works wonders for the meal. All right, one more time on my rice. We are almost there. All right, so we're getting ready to really bring this meal home, so you can see how it's done. So we're looking good. Just a fresh piece of lemon for my olive tapenade. All right, so looking good. All right, so the meal is looking good. We get the garnish ready. We get the stock on. We get the risotto looking good. And we're gonna put some roast pumpkin in this risotto. So we roast up some pumpkin and we season it, and we're gonna add those in the final preparation for the risotto. All right, so let me get a good clean up. Wipe down my board. For the final dish of the risotto, we're gonna go ahead and add the pumpkin, add the heavy cream, add the cheese, and we're gonna season it once again with a little salt, pepper, white pepper, and of course some fresh herbs. All right. So when we come back, we're gonna be able to pan fry our snapper, finish the risotto, and then we're gonna be able to present the final preparation for the meal. So we'll be right back after these messages.
Clint Watson has been the trusted voice of journalism for over 2 decades. He is your first choice for hard-hitting discussions, your best choice for current affairs issues and investigative journalism. It's time to start the journey of relentless journalism. It's time to start the journey of facts over fiction. It's time for the Rundown with Clint Watson here on ZNS, where only the sun covers the Bahamas better.
Welcome back. What we're preparing today is a really nice meal. It's not too complicated. It just requires a lot of really fine products and making sure that you you're doing it the right way. All right, so we're preparing some hog snapper with some pumpkin risotto, and we have some nice vegetables to go along with it. So what we did earlier, we made our fish stock, and then we went ahead and we cooked our risotto. We debone our snapper and season it really, really nice with goat pepper. All right, so now we're gonna finish the meal. Very, very easy. I got a frying pan on that has been heating. Put a little bit of olive oil again in it. And I'm gonna just place down my hog snapper, skin side down. You always wanna put skin side down for the presentation. When you're putting in fish in the pan, you don't wanna let it fall to you. You want it to fall away from you. That's important. In case any splash, it'll go that way, all right? So, put another piece there. And always try not to crowd your pan when you're frying. You just want to have a really, really good space in between. Making sure you're pressing it down good. You want to get a good crispy skin going, all right? So while that's in, now cooking is all about flavor, so we want to make sure we get some butter along with that olive oil in there to really get a good flavor going, all right? So whenever you're pan frying, you don't want to keep lifting the pan or keep lifting the fish to check it. You want to be able to time it properly. So when you turn it, you know that it is perfectly ready to go. All right, so get a good crisp on that skin. So just hold it down like that. One thing with snapper fish, now they're not like grouper. They tend to kind of curl in the pan. But once you apply a little pressure, it's gonna go ahead and level off, all right? So now I think I need to take a little peek, all right? All right, looking good. Looking good. You want a really nice crisp skin, all right? That's important. Really nice crisp skin. So we got a little butter in there. We add some butter for the flavor. All right, so we're looking good. So we're just gonna go ahead now and turn it over. We got a nice pretty pan roasted hog snapper. All right, looking good. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and add a little bit of thyme in there for flavor. I'm gonna add a little more butter. So I want to go ahead and baste the top of the fish now. All right, we're looking good. Just a nice squeeze of lemon. We just want to baste it now. We're going to go ahead and take that flavor and just put it on the top like that, all right? It's going to add flavor to the fish, all right? So the meal is almost there. We're looking good. The fish. Pan roasted hog snapper. We're gonna take that, put it right over the top like that. Now we're gonna start our risotto. A little bit of olive oil. One thing with risotto, you can cook them in advance and you can always keep them in the refrigerator, and when you're ready for them, you can take them out and then you can go ahead and finish it, all right? So this is something that you can do well in advance, all right? So we're gonna get our onions in there, put a little more onions for the add a little bit of garlic. This don't really take long to cook. So if you see, I went ahead and I prepared my fish because I want this risotto. I don't want this to be sitting around, all right? I want this to be, once it's creamy and ready, I'll take it out. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add my pumpkin. So we're making pumpkin risotto, pan roasted hog snapper, olive tapenade, and then we have a nice selection of vegetables to go along with it. So we're just going to add the rice now. All right. I'm going to stir that around. All right, so we're looking good. There's a little bit of wine. You notice I put some wine in the beginning of the risotto preparation, and now I'm finishing it with the wine. You want that really rich flavor, and you want to really taste that acidicness from the wine that you're going to get from the wine. All right, so that's important. just gonna add some heavy cream. All right, so when you're cooking risotto, like we did, we cooked the rice in 3 parts with stock, chicken stock, right? And what you do is, it's always 3 to 1 for the risotto, meaning 1 part risotto, 3 parts stock. So you wanna add those 3 part stocks in different intervals. So you wanna, once the rice is absorbed the liquid, you wanna go ahead and add the stock, all right? So with the cream, you always wanna add the cream in 1 part. So if you're using 3 pints of stock, you just use one pint of cream. So that means you'll be cooking a really good bit of risotto rice, all right? So I'm just gonna roll off my my basil. Whenever you're cutting any kind of leafy greens, you always want to just roll it up like that. And cook it in the chiffonade, cutting in the chiffonade. All right, so we're looking good. Risotto is looking good. Add some salt and pepper. We got our risotto looking good. I'm gonna make my fish sauce. Drain that really nice fish stock that we made. So just strain that. I'm always starting with my onions to give it a good flavor. A little pinch of garlic. We're making some pan roasted snapper, pumpkin risotto. Making them caper butter sauce for my fish. And we have olive tapenade to go on top. All right, so I get my onions and garlic. I get them sweating and I get some white wine in that. I'm gonna go ahead and add 2 ladles of my rich fish stock. All right, I'm gonna let that come to a boil. Once that comes to a boil, what I did was I add some rich cream, heavy cream that I reduced. Whenever you're making really classical sauce, what you want to do is do some preparation in advance, making sure that you reduce the sauce down so that when you hit the pot, it really don't take long. So I'm just going to go ahead and add my cream. I'm going to go ahead and add my capers. So now I just have to continue to whisk this, because I'm going to emulsify this sauce with a little bit of butter and lemon, all right? All right, so when we come back, we'll be plating up this wonderful meal. So make sure you have your glass of wine ready and be able to, see how we're gonna put this meal together. We'll be right back.
Covering the news seems easy, but we put thought into what we're doing. The Bahamas Tonight Access Now, here to inform, educate, and entertain. A new type of newscast featuring social media trends, news from around the islands, interviews with the people you like, sports, weather, and fabulous entertainment. That's a Bahamas Tonight Access Now with Marcellus Hall and LaDon Davis. Live, starting September 16th.
All right, welcome back. And guess what? We're actually finished. So now it's the most important part. We're gonna assemble the meal. So what I'm gonna do is give you 2 platter presentation, all right? So you get to see 2 variations of the meal, but the same meal. The most important part of the meal is the vegetables. So see, I really got some really nice fresh vegetables to highlight the plate and make sure it really, really looks great. Not only look great, it's really, really nutritious, all right? This first one, it's more like a deconstructed plate where we have everything separated, all right? Deconstructed. The vegetables are a really important part of the plate, all right? So let's put one right there. Get those cherry tomatoes go in there. My pan roasted snapper. Put it right on top there, right on top. So we get looking good. Of course, we need a piece of lemon for this dish. Nice burnt lemon to give more flavor. We can take the olive tapenade and put it right there. Let's take the caper butter sauce, because we don't know if the guest wants sauce. We'll put it on the side. All right, and now we finish the dish with a little bit of fresh microgreens. Right, then we give it a wipe, make sure it's nice and clean. Right, now if you want to just add a little more color to the dish, we can go ahead and put 2 little cherry tomatoes right in there. Okay. The next presentation, same plate, same meal. You're just gonna go ahead and get a nice scoop of risotto. So get it right in the center. Put down the veggies. Making sure you wipe as you go. Get those nice colorful veggies going. Now, this one what you'll see normally in a restaurant, but you gotta be careful on how you present this one, because if you put this on top of that, the guest is gonna go ahead and remove the fish off the veg, because they're gonna eat everything separate, all right? So give it a wipe. Now I get my nice rich lemon butter sauce. Just drizzle some right all over the plate like that. Right on that side. Of course you need the lemon right there. Now we finish it with the olive tapenade. Got a good serving of that. Now we finish it with a little microgreens. Alright, so there you have it. And my sponsors today, Bahamas Scribing Group of Companies and Simplify Lending. So until next time, I'm Chef Emmanuel, and God bless.